She's always
How you doing? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Tuesday, July the 27th, City Council agenda session. I now call this meeting to order. Our pledge of allegiance and invocation this afternoon will be by Councilwoman Dotley. Would you please stand?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we could pray. Heavenly Father, we love you so much. We thank you for this day. We pray for this meeting. Help us to do things decently and in order. God, we love you and thank you. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilwoman. All right, this afternoon, we do have a special presentation by Mr. Tim Moreland on what works cities. Mr. Moreland?
Thank you, Chairman. All right. I'm super excited to talk to you a little bit about our certification through the What Works Cities program, and a little bit nervous because I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do justice to all the amazing data-driven work that the city does, but I'm going to do my best. So What Works Cities, I guess I have the power here. I do. Is the standard for what works in data-driven and evidence-based local government. So it kind of sets a standard of excellence that many cities apply and try to go for. They have 3 different kind of tiers: silver, gold, and platinum. The actual criteria is broken into 45 different criteria. It's very strenuous criteria, hard to meet in these 8 foundational practice areas. Happy to announce that, we received our gold certification. So that puts us in a elite group of about 13 other cities in the United States that actually have achieved that. So it is no small feat that we've been able to do this, and it's in large part due to the amazing work of all the staff that we have in the city working and doing this. So super proud to talk a little bit about that. But for the presentation, I kind of want to go a little bit behind the certification, because the certification is great, but you don't get to sense for like what our data-driven practices look like. So I'm going to try to go a little bit behind the certification and give you a better sense day-to-day, operationally, what does this look like when we talk about being data-driven and evidence-based? 55 other cities in our population zone have applied. In the South, they had 45 applicants. The average score was 33%. Our score is 69%. You can see the evaluations, repurposing, and results-driven contracting are where we have some of our lower scores. That is consistent across all cities. So if you look at everybody else's scores, those are the same places where other cities are challenged. And stakeholder engagement and data governance seem to be our strengths. So looking behind the certification, like I said, a little bit about the office. We're the Office of Performance Management and Open Data. It's a small team, but we're now in the Department of Innovation, Delivery, and Performance. So we have Ryan Waddell and Andrew Savigny. Can you guys stand up, just get embarrassed and wave your hands a little bit? So these are 2 guys who are very instrumental in helping us create a culture and a data practice in the city that is deeply ingrained and is part of what resulted in us getting that certification. So I'm always interested in not just the what, but how. So I think sometimes the how you get somewhere is really important. And so we have some purposeful hows in how we do our data work. First and foremost, we put our users first. So we really want to understand the needs of the people we're serving. That could be in the department or in the citizenry. So we try to understand that first and foremost and have that be the center of our practice. We champion these iterative. So it's not a one and done kind of thing, but it's you try something out, you test it, you see what the data says, you do that over and over again, right? We champion these iterative data-informed methods for making improvements and understanding what truly works in government. Try to cultivate this learning community, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. And we relentlessly focus on our strategy being delivery. So we are always going to want to understand what you really need and think about how we can deliver that value as quickly as possible. And so that is something we're always looking for when we are doing our data work. And then this is kind of another core foundational practice of our data work is data as a compass, not as a grade. So when we first started our data program, we looked around at other cities and saw a lot of top-down shame and blame kind of heavy accountability models. And what we saw was as soon as the pressure was let off, those systems went away. The data culture didn't survive without that heavy-handed pressure on top of it. We wanted to do something different here in the city. We're focused on data as a compass, learning with data, being inquisitive about what we're seeing in the data sets, and actually using that to drive our practice to get ever better and better and better. You can see this in how we do our performance one-on-one meetings. We have 3 basic questions. Anytime you're looking at the data, what is the data telling us, right? So let's look at the data. What is it showing us? Why do we think that's happening? Let's get curious about it. Let's try to do some root cause analysis. Let's do some experiments and try and see what's going on. And then, so what, now what? That's the most important question, right? So if we're looking at data and we're trying to understand what's happening, but we're not having those all important so what, now what questions, then we're kind of missing the whole point of the data-driven practice. So data is a compass, being inquisitive about our data and using data as a learning lens for improving is key to what we do in the city. So a little bit about the what, some stories and some examples. Our homeless services department started from scratch, didn't really know what the opportunities, what space looked like and who we needed to serve. So it started with data, understanding where our homeless individuals are, what are their needs. what are the steps they need to do to get into housing, and where do people get stuck in those steps, right? We were able to create a methodology of tracking that data and learning with that data to a point where we were able to kind of do, especially with veterans homelessness, effective net zero for that. And we parlayed that into our homeless services across the board. And when we view this when we are curious about the data, we can start to see where are things getting caught up. Maybe we have several people with vouchers now, but maybe they're not able to find the housing. So that's now the piece we want to work on. And that maybe was different than the last time. So when you have a learning stance, things are always changing. So you're always learning and responding to them. You're not being stagnant and so focused on just one target or just one thing you're wanting to deliver. Our fire department, I'm very proud of the work of our fire department. They're a very data-driven work group, and it started with something as simple as looking at response times. How long does it take for a red shiny truck to get out of the fire station into the destination, right? So by looking at that, they're able to see that there were some anomalies and some strange things going on. And we didn't use that to really berate anybody, but to actually get curious and see, what do we think is happening here? So they went back to their different shift commanders and said, what do we think is going on? And they identified a simple problem, but something that's important. The data wasn't good. We had people who were not putting in the right information. You guys have heard garbage in, garbage out. We had a little bit of that going on in our response times. So they were able to clean that up by looking at the response times and being curious about what they're seeing there. And that was just kind of their first foray into it. They started to see other things in the data, started to see trends emerging. 554 calls. These are these invalid assists. These are calls from people who need assistance and have nowhere else to turn. They're not getting the services they need, and they have no other recourse. So they call 911, and we send a big shiny fire truck with lots of people there, right? So it's very expensive. We have people who are using those over and over again. What are we going to do about that? What's the root cause? What's happening there? So they worked with the School of Social Work to create a CFD Connect, where we actually are having social work students and connecting them and trying to get better service to the people who need it, and reducing the repeat calls, like by 80% for some of these times when we interact with them. It's phenomenal work. It goes all the way to doing advanced modeling, where they wanted to look at and see, we have limited inspectors, we have tons of commercial properties to inspect. Can we model where we think the fires are going to happen and use that to identify where we're going to do our fire inspections? So the whole gamut of a data journey they went on together. And then we did this with COVID as well, right? So when COVID just started, how can we provide the very best data to decision makers? We created a data and analytics working group to support the joint task force with the data they need to see. We partner with community members who were creating dashboards and visualizations to supplement what the health department was putting out to make it easier for people to understand day-to-day what's going on. We looked at who's most vulnerable, who's being most impacted, and we're able to use data to see where those people are and actually target our testing so that we could best understand how to how they're being impacted and reduce those numbers there. Even to a point where we actually started looking at all the different ways we interact with the public, from police, fire, finance, our community centers, and pull all that data together. And we could actually create a model where we could say, at this address, there's a high likelihood that there's an elderly individual. And if you guys remember from the early days of COVID, people most at risk for severe cases were the elderly, and especially in vulnerable communities. So we looked at those two lenses, targeted it, and we're able to send targeted communications to those individuals. I'm sure saving lives with giving them really targeted information and messaging that they needed. So these are all examples, right? This is the work behind the work. This is the type of thing we do. What I am most proud of is this story. So when we were doing our certification process, it's a 2-day intensive. We have 2 days of constant interviews with the people on site, interviewing all the different people in the city who do the data work. And after those 2 days of interviews, the chief evaluator came to us at our kind of summation meeting and said, I want to point something out to you that I think is really noteworthy in Chattanooga. I talked to a lot of your staff members about their data-driven work. And to a person, every single person that we talked to, they were able to ground their data-driven work in service to the individual. It wasn't just data for data's sake. It wasn't data for getting to numbers. The focus was on serving people and helping people. And that is unique. And it's not something he sees in all the other cities they go to. And I think that's what I'm most proud about this certification, is that we have a true culture of being focused on people and having that be the core of what we do with our data work. And the data is a tool to support that and supplement that. So that's just a little bit about what's behind that certification. Like I said, very proud about it. I hope you feel proud about it as well. We're by no means at the pinnacle. We're not done. We're just getting started. And we will continue to innovate and focus on the people of Chattanooga as we do our data program. Thank you.
All right, hold on one sec. Councilwoman Coonrod, a question or comment for Mr. Moreland? No, okay. I'm sorry. Old lot? Okay. All right, I'm seeing no questions. Thank you, Mr. Moreland.
Thank you.
Sir. All right, could I have a motion on the minutes, please? All right, we have a motion on the minutes to approve with a proper second. Any questions or comments before we vote? Roll call, please.
Councilman Ledford? Yes. Councilman Hester? Yes. Councilwoman Burris? Yes. Councilwoman Dotley?
Yes.
Councilman Byrd?
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod? Vice Chairman Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Henderson?
Yes.
8 yeses.
The ayes have it. Moving now into ordinances on final reading. All of these have passed first reading. So if there are no objection by this council, I would like to take 5A through H. Any objection? Madam Clerk, 5A through H, please.
Item A, an ordinance closing and abandoning a sewer easement located in the 6100 block of Hickson Pike is detailed on the attached map subject to certain conditions. Item B, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone part of a property located at 1076 River Gorge Drive from R1 residential zone, RTZ residential townhouse zero lot line zone, and UJC urban general commercial zone to C2 convenience commercial zone, RTZ residential townhouse zero lot line zone, and R1 residential zone, subject to certain conditions. Item C, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to lift conditions from previous ordinance number 8372, case number 1984-0235 from the property located in the 1300 block of Eli Road. Item D, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone properties located at 3914 and 3918 Webb Road from R3 residential zone to C2 convenience commercial zone. Item E, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone properties located at 114 and 300 McBrien Road together with an unaddressed property located in 5300 block Land Terrace from R1 residential zone to R3 residential zone, subject to certain conditions. Item F, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone properties located at 1401, 1403, and 1407 East 48th Street from R1 residential zone to C2 convenience commercial zone, subject to certain conditions. Item G, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 1920 Myrtle Street from M1 manufacturing zone to RTZ residential townhouse zero lot line zone. Item H, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to lift condition number 1 of previous ordinance number 13502, case number 2019-0112 from the properties located in the 2600 blocks of East 19th and East 20th Streets.
Councilman Ledford, followed by Councilwoman Coonrod. I'll get it straightened.
I see you. Move for final reading for approval, Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve items 5A through H with a proper second. Are there any questions or comments before we vote? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Coonrod? Councilman Byrd?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dotley?
Yes.
Councilwoman Burris? Yes. Councilman Hester? Yes. Councilman Ledford? Vice Chairman Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Henderson?
Yes.
8 yeses.
Motion to approve carries 8-0. Moving now to ordinances on first reading. Madam Clerk, if there are no objections from the council, 6A, B, and C together, please.
Item A, an ordinance granting unto Chattanooga Gas Company, a Tennessee corporation, a franchise for the purpose of operating a system of gas distribution and service within the city of Chattanooga, so as to furnish gas service within the city to inhabitants for domestic, commercial, industrial, and municipal general use. Item B, an ordinance closing and abandoning sewer easements located in the 300 block of Browns Ferry and Patton Chapel Road as detailed on the attached map, subject to certain conditions. Item C, an ordinance closing and abandoning the drainage easement located in the 700 block on North Market Street as detailed on the attached map, subject to certain conditions.
What's the pleasure of the council?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve items 6A, B, and C with a proper second. Are there any questions or concerns, questions or comments before we vote? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilman Ledford, Councilman Hester, Councilwoman Burrs, Councilwoman Dotley,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod, Vice Chairman Smith, Chairman Henderson,
Yes,
8 yeses.
so moved. Now moving down to planning. Madam Clerk, 6D, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 2255 Center Street from M2 Light Industrial Zone to C2 Convenience Commercial Zone.
Since this is a request for a rezone, I need to ask, is the applicant present? All right. Is there any opposition present? Councilwoman Burrs.
Atkins would come to the podium. I promised her she wouldn't have to speak except one word. So you want this rezoned to C2, and the purpose of that is for a dance studio.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are going to be serving food and drink there. And you understand that can only happen till 11 o'clock, the alcohol part.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And even though you know that this may be an event hall, you're not ready to ask for any special exception to serve alcohol later at this point.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then I move approval.
Okay, we have a motion now. Councilwoman, let me just be certain, the conditions or the things that you just talked about, are they in those conditions of the zone?
They are not. And I would hope that Karen or whoever would make sure that they are. I saw her taking notes, so those are the conditions, right? And you got those, right,
Okay,
Karen?
okay.
We're good.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve with a proper second. Are there any other questions or comments before we vote? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Coonrod, Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dotley,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs, Councilman Hester, Councilman Ledford, Vice Chairman Smith, Chairman Henderson,
Yes,
8 yeses.
motion to approve carries 8-0. Moving now to 6E, Madam Clerk.
In order to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone part of a property located at 3850 Brainerd Road from R1 residential zone to RT1 residential townhouse zone.
All right, Councilwoman Burrs, it's my understanding that you are planning on tabling this.
That's right. I've spoken with Mr. Jackson, and so that we can get the best zoning possible for him, I'd like to table it until it's ready to be brought forward.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor to table item 6E with a proper second. Are there any questions or comments before we're ready to vote? Roll call, please.
Councilman Ledford, Councilman Hester, Councilwoman Burrs, Councilwoman Dotley,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod, Vice Chairman Smith, Chairman Henderson,
Yes,
8 yeses.
so moved. Now, Madam Clerk, moving down to 6F, would you please read the alternate version?
An ordinance amending Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, Article 5, Division 15C3, Central Business Zone by deleting and replacing the intent section and adding a new Division 15A, establishing new standards that supersede other conflicting sections of the zoning code.
Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did cover the alternate version changes in legislative committee, and with that, I do move to approve.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve the alternate version with a proper second. Are there any questions or comments before we vote? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Coonrod, Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dotley,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs, Councilman Hester, Councilman Ledford, Vice Chairman Smith, Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
8 yeses.
Motion to approve the alternate version carries 8-0. Now moving to resolutions. Madam Clerk, 7A, the alternate version, please.
A resolution authorizing the Office of the City Attorney to engage the various law firms for legal services and general litigation matters, corporate, transactional, intellectual property, and administrative matters, labor and employment matters, planning and zoning matters, and government relations matters for the period of July 1, 2021 through June 30, 2022.
Councilwoman Burrs.
Second.
All right, we do have a motion on the floor to approve the alternate version with a proper second. Are there any questions or comments before we vote? Roll call, please.
Councilman Ledford, Councilman Hester, Councilwoman Burrs, Councilwoman Dotley,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod, Vice Chairman Smith, Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
8 yeses.
So moved. Now, Madam Clerk, if there are no objections from this council, I'd like to take 7B, C, D, and E together as a package, please.
Item B, a resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to award the combined contracts to W17023-201 and W18008-201, MBWWTP Improvements Projects, Schedule A, Secondary Clarifiers, Flow Meters, and Gate Replacements, and Schedule B, MBWWTP EQ Unix Improvements, a non-consent decree project to Reeves Young LLC of Sugar Hill, Georgia, for the contract amount of $8,267,000 plus a contingency amount of $413,450 for an amount not to exceed $8,680,450, subject to availability of funds. Item C, a resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to approve change order number 2 for J. Comby Construction, Inc. of Cookeville, Tennessee, relative to contract number W16017-201, MBWWTP Solids Process Optimization Implementation Phase 2 Thickener Upgrades and Consent Decree Project for the increased amount of $232,465.98 for revised contract amount of $5,797,213.98. plus a new contingency amount of $20,000 for an amount not to exceed $5,817,213.98. Item D, a resolution authorizing the administrator of the Department of Public Works to award contract number R20017217 Summit of Softball Complex Improvements from the Easter Tornado 2020 Shade Structures Replacement to Bliss Products and Services, Inc. of Lithia Springs, Georgia, in the amount of $50,286.65 with a contingency amount of $5,000 for an amount not to exceed $55,286.65. Item E, a resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to approve change order number 1 final with Integrated Properties LLC of Chattanooga, Tennessee, relative to contract number P20003-201, Chattanooga Police Department Crime Scene Unit Facility Improvements for an increased amount of $37,699.46 to release the remaining contingency amount of $2,300.54 for a revised contract amount of $451,699.46.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilman Hester, followed by Councilman Ledford. All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve items 7B, C, D, and E with a proper second. Are there any questions or comments before we vote? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Coonrod, Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dotley,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs, Councilman Hester, Councilman Ledford, Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
8 yeses.
Motion to approve carries 8-0. Now moving into our purchase items for this afternoon, council, if you would pull those, and Julia. We're glad that your voice is much better.
It's mostly back. All right, we have 4 purchases this evening as well as 1 RFP. So the first purchase is Fleet Management Division of Public Works. This is for the purchase of 4 locally manufactured Volkswagen Atlas SE vehicles to replace the current Ford fleet. 5 bids were requested and 2 were submitted. The award will go to Village of Volkswagen of Chattanooga as the best bid meeting specifications for the city of Chattanooga. The total cost estimate is $146,180. Second purchase is for Citywide Services Division of Public Works. This is for the upgrade of the AccuBrine Maker Legacy Brine Maker for snow and ice removal. Cargill Inc. was identified as a sole source vendor. The annual cost estimate is $30,536. The third is for the Waste Resources Division of Public Works. This is the second and final renewal option for MSA safety parts from Gex Pro. A 14% price increase was submitted at renewal for an annual cost estimate of $200,000. The fourth and final purchase is from the Facilities Division of Public Works. This is a new blanket contract for lock and key services. The contract is for 12 months with the option to renew for 2 additional 12-month terms. The award will go to Robinson Door as the best complete bid, meeting the specifications for the city of Chattanooga. The annual cost estimate is $40,000.
Council, what is your pleasure? Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve tonight's purchases with a proper second. Questions or comments before we vote? Roll call, please.
Councilman Ledford, Councilman Hester, Councilwoman Burrs, Councilwoman Dotley,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod, Vice Chairman Smith, Chairman Henderson,
Yes,
that is 7 yeses.
so moved. Thank you, Julie.
We have 1 RFP format recommended for approval. Again, we're requesting approval to issue this RFP, not approval to award any contracts at this time. An RFP is necessary as opposed to a sealed bidding process because there is more than one solution to the scope requested, and competitive proposals will assist in selecting the best solution. This is from the Transportation Division of Public Works. Request to solicit bike share operations by RFP. The key factors to select a supplier are abilities, experience, and approach. Responses are expected to be at no cost to the city. For these reasons, the RFP is the best choice of solicitation formats.
Councilman Led, move to approve RFP. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve tonight's RFP with a proper second. Are there any questions or comments before we vote on this item? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Coonrod, Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dotley,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs, Councilman Hester, Councilman Ledford, Vice Chairman Smith, Chairman Henderson,
Yes,
8 yeses.
motion to approve RFP carries 8-0. Thank you, ma'am. All right, committee reports this afternoon. Councilwoman Coonrod. Councilman Byrd,
No report.
Councilwoman Dotley,
No report.
Vice Chair Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Earlier today, we did have a legislative committee meeting. We discussed the C3 text changes that we voted on this evening. No further report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Burrs. Councilman Hester. Councilman Ledford. All right, thank you. Now moving down to other business. I think Ms. Madison has a report on some bond obligations for us this afternoon.
Good afternoon, council
Good afternoon.
members. I have, you have in your packages a report form called CT 0253. It's a state reporting form that is required whenever an entity issues debt. The city of Chattanooga, by way of the Electric Power Board, has recently issued, upon your approval in June, and closed in the month of June, $71 million of electric revenue bonds for the purpose of various EPB projects. The state requires that we report to you after they issue those bonds, the results of the sale. Here are those results. The face amount of the bonds is $71,080. Premiums on those bonds was $4,500,000. Those are dollars that were received in addition to the over and above the face amount of the bonds. The interest rate on those bonds were 1.927, which is phenomenal. So that's it. You have in your package a copy of this report. You can see more detail, but that is, I have now met the requirements of the state. If anyone have any questions. The Electric Power Board is here because he likes seeing you guys. But at the end of the day, he wanted to make absolutely certain that if you had any questions that I could not answer, he would be here to do so.
All right. Any questions? Councilman Ledford?
No question, Mr. Chairman, but I did want to thank EPB for allowing Councilwoman Coonrod and I to witness the open bid process actually unfold. And we were able to verify that that process was done the way it should be done in an open bidding format. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, very well. Madam Attorney, before we get into our certificates of compliance, we do have one appointment to the Police Advisory Board. I'd like to take that at this time. Councilwoman Burrs. You want to hit your button, please?
It's, can you hear
No, no.
me? It's on.
Your screen. There you go.
Yeah. I believe Mr. Wiley is here. Come on to the podium. Oh, you can do this. Come on to the podium. Mr. Chair, I'd like to appoint Anthony Wiley to the Police Advisory and Review Committee representing District 6. All of my colleagues have his resume. I want to thank you. It's a one-year appointment. I want to thank you very much for agreeing to do this. You're filling the shoes of a former judge that was on the committee. And I think you're aware of all the duties. You understand you have to go through the school. I just want to say thank you very much for agreeing to serve. Do you have any questions or comments of us?
I just want to say that it's my pleasure to serve my community in this capacity, and thank you all for your consideration.
Thank you for representing the district so well. With that, I don't believe it needs voting approval. It does? Oh, well, great. They'll all vote for you, I promise you.
All I need is a motion. All right, we have a motion on the floor to appoint Mr. Wiley to the Police Advisory Board with a proper second. Are there any questions or comments before we vote? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilman Ledford, Councilman Hester, Councilwoman Burrs, Councilwoman Dottley,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod, Vice Chairman Smith, Chairman Henderson.
Yes,
8 yeses.
motion is approved. Congratulations, Mr. Wiley. Welcome aboard. All right, Madam Attorney, we now move into our certificate of compliance items.
We have 3 certificates of compliance tonight. The first is Publix Tennessee LLC number 1731. The second is Mapco Express Incorporated doing business as Mapco number 3530. And the third is Mapco Express doing business as Mapco number 3534. And both of the Mapcos are for compliance for wine in a retail store. And I will pass those certificates for signature.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. If you just pass those around. All right, that concludes all items on our agenda this afternoon. We now move to the portion of our agenda where we recognize persons wishing to address the council. Are there any by show of hands tonight that would like to address the council? Okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to ask our attorney if she would read the rules to address the council, and then you can be making your way up to the podium.
All right, if you wish to address council, please line up at the podium. You need to be recognized by Chairman Henderson before speaking at the microphone. You may address city council only upon matters with legislative and within the legislative and quasi judicial role of the council, and we will limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Thank you.
All right, Mr. IT, would you give us 3 minutes on the clock? Oh, hey, there you go. Thank you, sir. All right, sir, if you would give us your name and your district number, please.
My name is Edward Curtis. I'm in District 7. I want to say thank the city public works for cutting the tree down in the alley. This is the tree they cut down, can pass that down. This is the stump they left. I like to, if you can keep that stump. That's the only thing I'm worried about. They need supervision to tell them to do something. And I come here to see, can I get somebody to supervise, tell them to go ahead and do that. Make it better or make it look better. If it's North Shore, it'd have been taken care of, but since it's East Lake and Alton Park area, they forget about it. Just clear the alley. I got a big stump in the back and I just want the city to, somebody to take care of it. That's all.
All right, did you say your name was Mr. Curtis?
Yeah, Edward Curtis.
Mr. Stone, would you raise your hand? You see that gentleman right there? Would you get with him at the end of this meeting?
Okay,
And he's our interim director of public works.
okay. Another thing, a house on 12th Avenue that burnt out a year ago. What's the status on that? If you don't mind telling me what's the status on that, when you're gonna start doing something about it? Otherwise than that, if you don't mind, do something about it, because it's a hindrance to the neighborhood, it's eyesore. It's been over a year.
Turn around behind you. You see those two gentlemen nodding their head right there?
Okay, okay, all right, no problem.
Get with one of those two gentlemen and they'll
I
help you
get
on
with
that.
everybody.
Okay.
For everybody.
Yeah. We'll just do a group huddle around you at the end of the meeting.
All right, no problem.
Thank you.
All right, that's all I want to say.
All right.
Thank you.
Oh. You're going through a barricaded area there, sir.
All right.
Don't
that's-
run off on us now. Just,
I'm gonna get my pictures over there.
okay.
That's all I want to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, sir.
Hello, Joshua Capellas here. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate everyone being here for the important matters. I
Would you
speak
give me
on
your district number, please? sir?
behalf of all the people suffering. I guess you could call it District 0 at this point because they're not able to make it to the meeting. So if you let me complete my 3 minutes, it'd be helpful. My soul aches for those suffering in our city, the homeless. They're all over the city. On July 10th, 17 days ago, United States Navy veteran, a female, died in Chattanooga under a bridge on Broad Street. I met Missy 2 years ago, passing out waters and burritos on my Fallen 5 drive. My friend Cheryl told me about the news on the 16th of July. These are trying times. And like tyranny like perdition is not easily conquered. The more difficult the tragedy, the greater the triumph. Our own mayor in his inauguration speech quoted Martin Luther King with a fierce urgency of now and said that he has a bias toward action that includes all of our neighbors, regardless of zip code. The city council mission statement says to promote an ethical and inclusive environment that enhances and sustains the well-being of all the people. Cheerfully, I stand here knowing that we have a very important task. This is the best city in the world, right? It's our city. And we have overcome many challenges. And in 1969, this was the most polluted city in America. Now today, we have the fastest internet. We beat San Francisco. That's something to be proud of. There are thousands of people who are homeless in Chattanooga. We can work together to create a model for the entire country, but we have to do it together. I love all of you, and I love this city, and I especially love my friends out there on the streets. They call me the water boy because I go out there so much. And I'm here to raise the alarm, just like a fire alarm that lets everybody know when there's a danger. Now we need to get to work and work together, and we need to do it now. And that's why I'm here. The people that are out there can't make it here. They don't know they can. That's why I'm here. And I understand, the legislative processes and bureaucracy and red tape and things like that, but we can cut through it. We can work together as Americans and people in harmony and unity. And I'm here to raise the alarm. I'm not here to cause a fuss. I've only got 3 minutes. I looked up my amendment rights, and these sorts of things, and understand, the regulations that permit a certain amount of time for people to speak. But I've only got 3 minutes. I drive quite a ways to get here, and I'm out here working in the streets for these people. And I've been here for 5 weeks now, trying to let you all know. I appreciate your time and effort. Brent, everybody that's here, thank you for everybody on the mayor's behalf. Thank you for your time. I
Thank you, sir.
sincerely appreciate it.
Good afternoon
Afternoon.
to the commissioner, to Commissioner Henderson. I want to say thank you for bringing the children to work on the homes for the older people. There were a group of kids who came to my house last week who did some work at my home, and they did great. I didn't get a chance to tell them thank you, but I know you know how to get in contact with them and tell them that I said thank you and God bless you. Secondly, I want to thank Commissioner Councilwoman Coonrod and Deputy Chief Stone for the work that they're doing over on Midland Pike. But I have a concern. All of the homes that are in that area were built in the 1960s. The trees have grown up so high in our neighborhood that I'm afraid that if they fall, which they have started to move the earth on Midland Pike, so the trees are subject to fall if it comes a big storm. The power board is here. We were told that it is the power board's responsibility to make sure that all of the trees are not in the wires in our neighborhood. We have a bunch of trees that need to be cut down. We would request that the power board get with the people who are doing the work before they finish the work at Midland and Tally, so that we can be guaranteed that once they leave, the trees won't start falling on us because they have moved the topsoil. My name is Edward Green, and I'm in Councilwoman Coonrod's district. That's Green Jr. with the E on the end. Thank you so very
Thank you.
much.
Oh, Councilman Hester.
Thank you for your concern. I think you were in my district, and it will definitely address that issue. With Deputy Stone. Thank you. And we also talked.
I live at 4101 Gale Drive. I think I'm in.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but I'll let you be my.
You're a popular man. I think they're taking bids on you. Yes, you are. All right, go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. Monty Bell, the homeless journalist, the gray-haired fox. There's so much. I don't know where to start. The rapes. I don't know if I need to start there. The bricks, the 2x4s. I don't know if I need to start there. Our women and my homeless encampment. I don't know if I need to start there. David Tulis in Mariemont. I don't know if I need to start there. The administrative office of the court that has my court proceedings tied up. I don't know if I need to start there, but I do want to know what happened to my money, all of my trash from the 11th Street encampment. Lots of people were paid for my trash. I got a lot of broken bones and a lot of raped women. And I got a lot of people scared to tell about the most gruesome looking individual I've seen. And I've been a whole lot of places that has been sent to my encampment to torment us, to embarrass us, and really to make an advancement of Monty Bell, which he's done. And I was told by Chattanooga City Police that I couldn't remove this individual from my encampment. I hate to say in front of a very well-dressed officer that a member of his team is a lie. I can remove him, and I'm going to. This person would have never been there had we been treated like human beings in the first place. That individual would have never come there. There's still our trash. If people from the bid and the Lions Club had just contacted Monty Bell, or even the representative of our district, District 8, if he just treated Monty Bell like Monty Bell's a human being and not someone seeking to, I don't want to say what I want to say about this representative, but we have a lot because the bell tolls for thee. This lawsuit, and I just went to the public library just to make room on my recorder to come and visit you, and I'm still told that the city and the county are in collaborations trying to arrest Monty Bell. Let's get with the city attorney and that awful county attorney and Neil Pinkston, and let's talk about how Monty Bell created the virus called COVID-19. You all got plenty of messages, and I think I ruined Councilwoman Coonrod's phone talking about the virus and the tornado that was going to hit East Brainerd. It did exactly what I said it was going to do. So maybe by next week, we can talk about some things that are really necessary, like getting us out of this encampment before one of my women are killed. And I mean that. And I thank you, but not very much this time.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Charles, and I'm part of the encampment down there. And it's a lot of things need to be done down there. One thing about it, they gave us a dumpster, but we need a toilet down there, outside, and one thing important is light. They don't have no lighting out there. The officer come through there, they have the flashlights. You know what I'm just saying? A lot of people getting hurt, stumbling, falling. You know what I'm just saying? We just have for the little thing until they make their mind up whatever they're gonna do. See what I'm saying? With this here situation. Like I said, number one, they're not building enough high rises for the elderly. There's a lot of elderly people out there. No work and built and fought for this country, including me. Really actually have built this country. And I'm just waiting on like the housing. The housing is just full up. They haven't built no high rising for the elderly since the 60s. And it's overpopulated. Like more young people there. I'm not knocking that. Something ain't right down there. So we just need some change down there. Really, I'd like to see, some lighting down there. See what I'm saying? And some toilet. And then a situation, somebody come down and say, well, what they gonna do? See what I'm saying? To help people to get out of that environment. A lot of people's out there is now homeless, some of them on checks, but they don't have no place to go because of the rent so high. That's when they had high rising back in the past for elders. So I just like to see more, lighting, toilets, and build more housing for the elder people. I'm 67. There's a whole lot of us down there, maybe 50 to 67, somewhere in that age. It's not a lot of just people just walking in and out around here in Chattanooga area. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else that would like to address the council this afternoon? Council, I am not seeing anyone else that would want to address the council. What is the pleasure? We are adjourned.